Hey everyone, welcome back to the page, and today we're going to answer some questions, some technical questions that some of you have asked. Behind me I have some keyboard controllers and also a pedal controller, and I have everything running through one of my standalone apps, AUM. We're going to use that one as an example today, and I'm going to show you how to connect everything together. Okay, one of the first things that you're going to do is make sure you have a good power supply for your USB-C output, okay? That little port that's on the side of your iPad can do a lot, but you want to make sure if you're going to be connecting multiple devices to it, you want to make sure you're getting enough power going to that port to power all of your controllers and external peripheries that you want to connect to it. You can even connect audio interfaces to it as well, but you want to make sure there's enough power going to it. So we're going to talk about a few things that you need in order to get this done. There's more than one way to do this, okay? I'm just going to share the way that works for me with the number of devices I'm connecting, okay? So first thing you want to do is I recommend buying the Apple USB-C AV dock, okay? And I know, yes, this is not cheap to buy. However, Apple's dongles work really well with power management and also giving you ports to connect your devices. Now, you can see right on the end of here that there are 3 ports. This USB-C input right here is for power only, not for data transfer, just for power. The center one is a HDMI port, and the last one is your USB-A port, okay? This is your regular USB that you can connect other hubs to. Now, you may say to yourself, hey, I don't need that. I can just go with one of those combo hubs that you can buy online. And yes, you can do that. However, you may run into some power issues as if you start connecting and using all of the ports on that device, you may find that some devices don't work as reliably. And so you may lose power on one of those devices, or iOS may glitch on you and may not read that port or that hub. Okay, run into some situations while live gigging where I just didn't have a reliable connection, okay? But anytime I used the USB-C AV port, I had no problems connecting. So the next thing that I found useful, I'm gonna take this USB input right here, and I'm going to connect one of these USB hubs, okay? And this has a regular USB connection here, which I can slide right into my port, just like that. And now, once I connect my power supply to this port, this goes right into the iPad's USB output, and therefore it's going to allow me to open up all of these ports right here for a multi-keyboard or multi-controller connection. Okay, some of these hubs, and this one I happen to get off of Amazon. This one is made by Atola, and it's a USB 3 hub. Some of them have little switches to turn on the port, turn it on and off. And you will find if there are any connection issues, sometimes you can fix that just by toggling power to the switch on and off, and it should be able to reset your connection. Okay, so this is a very inexpensive USB hub that you can buy off of Amazon. Hopefully there's not a tariff on it. And then you can just connect it up to your USB-C dongle here. Okay, but I actually have this hooked up. I have another version of it hooked up to my devices right now so that I can show you how to set up a multi-layered setup in AUM. Okay, the next thing I wanted to talk about is where possible, if your USB hub ships with a power supply, I do recommend using it, okay? And it's like, why do I have to plug all of these things in? Here's the reason. You want to make sure that there's ample power supply going to anything where multiple controllers are being connected. So you want to make sure that there's enough power coming into this to power all of these devices, okay? Next, if you notice here, because I'm using the USB hub this way, I can actually connect an external screen right here, okay? And this whole connection is being powered by this USB-C. So the power supply I would normally use for my iPad, I can just plug that in here and it will power this hub, which is powering all of this. And then I can also connect my HDMI display just to add an extra screen into the mix. Okay, so if you have an iPad Studio versus a Mac Studio, let's say you're setting up your home studio at home and you want to build it around the iPad, I think this is a great way to do it. So you can connect all of your USB storage devices and also your audio interface and your controllers. You can pretty much get that all done here. And also leave a port open for your external screen, okay? So that's something you can try and augment your studio setup at home using your iPad. Now, some of you may want to get a little creative with your setup, particularly if you're building an iPad Studio, and you may want something that looks and also functions a little bit more efficient. So I picked up one of these on Amazon, and this is the Invisi maghub 3. This is an 8-in-1 stand, and it has multiple ports on the back, as you can see here. So you can get an SD card reader in here. You can also do a mini SD card reader in here. It has also a port for HDMI out for an external screen. You've got even a headphone jack and also a couple USB ports, a USB-C data port, and a USB-C power port. And the way you connect all of this is there is a USB-C bridge connection that you come out of here into the side of your iPad as it is laid out horizontally. Now, the cool thing with this particular maghub, of course, you can see it's got an articulated arm. You can change the angles. You can do all kinds of very creative setups, but you can also go landscape or portrait with your iPad that fits inside this bracket here. So as you can see, it's very creative, very flexible. I've enjoyed using it. And of course, you may be asking, well, where does my Apple Pencil go? Well, it connects magnetically here. It does not charge, but it does connect magnetically. So if you are working on a setup where you need to dock your pencil, use your pencil, particularly in Logic or any other DAW, depending on your workflow. You can also USB in a keyboard if you want to use one of these ports for that, and a mouse. Or if you want to use these ports for something else, Bluetooth in right to your iPad, and you can have a keyboard and mouse going for you. It could literally be a complete setup. Now, just a couple things that I found in using this particular device. I did find that the headphone jack can be a little bit loose. And I don't know if this happened through repeated use or if this is just something that's maybe a build quality issue. So this only affects you if you have a headphone jack plugged in. And if the iPad reads, for whatever reason, that connection is either broken or reconnected, it will start playing something randomly in iTunes. So I'd like to see the manufacturer make a stronger, more durable headphone jack so that in the middle of your set, if you're using this as your output, in the middle of your set, you are not dealing with random tracks starting off in the middle of your playing. The second thing that I found about this is that the cable that they supply for the bridge can get a little weak as well. So just be mindful of that. Maybe get your own short USB-C data cables. They need to be short ones, not these huge long ones. You may actually lose connection. So an engineer will tell you that the length of the cable matters as much as the type of the cable. So if you only need to go short distance and you want a reliable connection, buy a short cable, okay? Other than that, this has been a pretty functional all-in-one for me. Oh, the last thing, the SD card reader I did find to be a little bit slow. And of course, you can't expect these hubs to give you the best quality for everything. I don't do a lot of SD card editing or loading in, but it's here if I need it. But the port is a little bit slow, so that's the only other critique that I would have for this device. But this has been a workhorse for me in my mobile setups for playing out and gigging. I've been using it, and instead of using the headphone jack, I've been using one of these ports here for my audio interface, and the other one connected to my multi-port hub. And that gives me all the connections I need, really. All right, so these are things to consider, but this is the Invisi maghub 3 8-in-1 stand. Check it out for your setup. Okay, so I want to take you into a little glimpse of my setup. Here I have a number of controllers connected to my iPad. Okay, not the iPad in the background there, but the one I'm about to show you. So here's a little mini Akai. This is a APC 25. I can use this primarily just for MIDI notes. Each pad and each button in this limited function of the APC 25 connected to an iPad, all it's going to give me is MIDI notes, but that's pretty much all I need. I can assign this to a pad generator or any plugin I choose from within my host, my DAW. Okay, so I've got that. Then I've got two 49 key controllers. You guys have seen this a bunch of times in my videos, and you've also probably seen my pedal controller here, which is the StudioLogic MP-113, okay? Down here, mounted onto my stand, this is my USB hub, which has all my connections ran already to it. All right, so that's what's going on there. And then we have all of that connected to the iPad here. And here I can run Logic. I can program into Logic, or I can program into AUM, which is also connected. And I'm using the Invisi dock right here, and everything is connected at the back. So my hub is connected to one port, but in the other port, I have my Behringer X32. So yes, does this setup look like overkill, or does it look like a very capable setup for what I need it to do, right? So I have 32 channels of audio that can come right on in to my iPad, and I'm also connected to all my different controllers, okay? This is an example of a crazy setup that works really well and efficiently. And the iPad is handling all of it like a champ. Okay, so now I'm going to show you how to get your AUM to actually read your controllers and see if we can come up with a nice setup here. Okay, so let's see if we can get AUM routed, all our controllers and our audio and all of that. Let's see if we can get that routed into our AUM setup and prepare to record something or play something. Okay, so when you open up AUM, you are met with a blank canvas that looks like this. So essentially, it wants to know what you would like to do, what type of track you'd like to open. So we're going to go ahead and hit the plus sign, and immediately we have the option to load an audio track, a MIDI track, or to import a track. And when I say track, I really mean strips, almost like a MIDI channel strip or an audio channel strip. So let's go ahead and open up an audio channel strip, and this is what it looks like. Okay, I have a couple plus signs here. This will allow me to load a audio plugin. I can even bring in hardware or bring in audio from my X32 or whatever interface I'm using. 2 channels or 32 channels, it does not matter. You can bring that in. You can also create a multi-bus audio unit there. You can load a file player. This will play back audio files as well. You can make this a mix bus. You can bring in something that's inter-app audio from another app and bring it in here. AUM is a Swiss Army knife for all types of either recording or even live playing. I've met users who don't use it for live, but they use it for recording, and vice versa. I've had a couple comments on my channel telling me, "Hey, you can't use this live," and I'm like, "Sure I can." So I'm going to show you how I use it for my gigs or playing in church. All right, so I'm going to go ahead and load an audio unit extension. And I'm going to load up one of my go-tos, which happens to be the Piano Tech app from Modart. Okay, I love this app. Now, I have a total of 4 controllers here, and I want to be able to bring up or assign this to one of my controllers right here. So what I'm going to do is tap the 3 lines here on the screen and to the left of the plugin, and I'm going to bring up my inspector here, and this will allow me to see if I'm getting MIDI signal from my MIDI device. And as you guys can see, I'm getting some activity there for my USB Axiom 49. Now, something you should know is that when you are working with manufacturers or connecting keyboards that have the same manufacturer, sometimes the Apple encoding is reading these 2 identical controllers as one device, but it is splitting it into different MIDI ports. So it thinks that it's multiple ports for this one device. That is actually a problem for Macs, but not a huge problem for iPads. Okay, with Macs, sometimes it'll get confused and it won't read. And occasionally you run into a similar situation here on the iPad. The cool thing about AUM is its detection system allows you to tell the difference and be able to assign the difference. AUM seems to have some different programming that allows you to connect your devices and tell the host exactly how you want to use the device. So here I'm going to assign the piano to my bottom tier. So I'm going to go ahead and select the Axiom 49, and it's telling me that it's coming in on port 1, and it's assigned a port ID to this. Now, if I played a different one, you noticed that the MIDI indicator jumped down to the next line. Okay, so I could play here or I could play here. Let's go ahead and assign it here. There we are, we have audio. So my piano is now on this track, okay? So anything I have connected to the piano, if it is an expression pedal or a sustain pedal, or any type of other connection, it will read from this device. Okay, so here we go. Good. Now let's say I want to add some strings to that or a pad to it. I'm going to go ahead and hit plus, do the same thing, select audio, and now I'm going to go to another plugin. Let's pull up the Korg Module Pro, shall we? Let's go to Korg Module Pro. Let's say I wanted to add a bass, but I want to put it up top. Okay. Okay, so we're going to lower the volume on that. Let's go ahead and lower that volume, and let's drop our octave down. Okay, it's a nice synth up top, and you can customize it however you wish. All right, I think it's ready for prime time. Okay, it sounds like we have a nice setup already. Now, let's say I wanted to bring in this little controller over here. And we can keep doing this until we are stacked up all the way we want to be stacked up. So I can bring up a patch here. And just like that, I have a little aux setup, a little main setup, a little bass setup in just a couple minutes, okay? And I have full control over all of this in AUM. But what about my pedals? Let's say I want to bring the pedals in. All right, so I've got the StudioLogic MP-113. Okay, the MP-113 has some controls on it that will allow you to assign your MIDI channel, transpose up and down, do different bank selections and things like that, so that you can have some control over how you are using your pedals. So I kind of like this bass that I have. I think I want to assign the bass to my pedals instead. All right, so let's see if we've got some connections here on my pedals. All right, so I'm going to press the pedals, and you can see on my screen I am triggering MIDI data. All right, so we've got MIDI. Good. So now this is assigned to my pedals. Now I have the option of lowering the octave on the pedals manually using the hardware controls there, or I can come in the screen here and I can actually octave down. Okay, so we're almost ready to go. Now, if I wanted to make sure I'm in church compliance, we got to have a little bit of our MK Sensation. I want to load a little gospel EP on there. So I'm going to go ahead and load my plugin. Okay, good. So I used my pedals. I used my bottom tier here. I can assign the top tier to something else. Okay, all of that is coming out of the iPad at the same time. So your entire rig can really get interesting. Now, the DSP, or the amount of system resources I'm using right now, is still quite low. So it gives me room to really stack up. And then some of these plugins that I loaded in here, they have multiple layers. So you can actually add some other nuances to it. Now, one thing I will say about AUM, or playing live music using this type of setup, it's not completely flawless, okay? You can run into situations where you have layered up a little bit too much. Let's say you've got some synth pads and arpeggiations going on, or a whole bunch of stuff that's happening in the background using up your DSP. And as we do in church, we like to hold down that sustain pedal, and we are rolling those chords. And every time you do that, you're adding polyphony and you're triggering all of these samples. So for sample-based programs, you may find yourself running into some system issues if the layers are too thick. How do you get around that? You pick patches that sound good and sound warm enough, maybe add a little EQ, warm it up in some sections, warm up the mid-range area, fatten up your pads. You can tweak your sounds. Let me show you how to tweak your sounds. So you simply go to the little plus signs that are underneath your plugin, and here's where you can insert some other plugins that will affect what's happening on your channel. So as you can see, I've got 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 layers. I can go to town and add more if I wanted, but let's go ahead and add some EQ to this. Now, you can use AUM's EQ here. They have a parametric EQ that looks like this. Once it's loaded, you can go ahead and can pick the frequency that you would like to adjust. And you would have to, of course, play your patch, listen to what this EQ is doing. You can adjust the gain for that particular frequency. This is a little bit limiting, okay? So let's say you would want to try something else. What you can do is slide to the left, and you can see a little eject button appears, and that's how you can change. You can eject that node, okay? Same thing can happen here. If you want to change your plugin, you simply slide it to the left, and you can eject whatever you have loaded there. I like that, so I'm going to keep that one there. So let's try a different type of plugin. I'm actually going to load one that I have on the system. So Apple gives you a whole bunch of stock audio unit extensions that you can use to edit your device. Let's say there's a AU reverb, and you can mess with reverb that way. You can use Apple stock plugins, or you can go ahead and load something from the App Store. Okay, I'm going to use, let's say, one of my Fab Filter plugins here. Let's go ahead and use the Pro EQ, the Pro Q, and we can warm up our sound. Let's say I want to solo the piano. I can move this window open and solo my track just by hitting solo at the bottom. Okay, and I can see exactly what's happening with my piano. Let's say I want to add a low pass filter here. Take some of the muddy lows out of it. Not too much. Okay, good. I can change this to a low cut. Good. And I can add a little shelf on the top. Brighten it up. Okay, so I've got EQ control. This is helpful for the sound engineer if you want to tailor your sound and come in with your own setup, sounding the way you want to sound. Okay, good. So I've added one little insert there. Now let's say I wanted to add another one. Let's say I wanted to add some reverb to that particular track. With one finger, I can actually slide that up, and you can see a little +1 opens up at the bottom of the channel strip. And I can go in here and add another plugin. Look at that. Very nice decay, okay? And all of this is happening on one channel. Now, let's say I didn't want to just have reverb on one channel. Let's say I wanted it to use that reverb across my different plugins and have them all access that reverb. AUM can do that, okay? Like any other DAW, you can do that. So I'm gonna go ahead and remove it from here. And I'm going to go to the end here and add a bus. All right, so I'm gonna hit audio. I'm gonna add a mix bus. All right, and we're gonna assign it to bus A. This will be my first one, all right? Now I'm going to load that reverb onto bus A. And there it is, and I'm gonna open it. I'm gonna leave the mix at 100 because I'm going to adjust how much level I send to this reverb from my other tracks, okay? So, there it is. So I'm going to go back to my piano, and instead of adding a plugin, I'm going to add a send to my bus A reverb. Okay? That's without it. And now I've just sent some signal over there. You can go to town with this, guys. So I hope you can see just how powerful AUM really is. Again, people use it to record music, and it will do multi-track recording. If you wanted to take a performance like this that I'm about to do in a few minutes, just a short performance, and show you how you can export that to your separate tracks, bring it into something like Logic Pro, mix it down, edit it, add to it. But if you're one of those players that's an in-the-moment player, and you just want to be able to capture something, create your layers, separate your patches, and just create on the fly, AUM lets you do that. And of course, you can do that live too. I want to show you how to get rid of tracks. Let's say you've added something to AUM and you don't like what you added, or perhaps a parameter is not routing the way you thought it would and you want to start over. I'm going to show you a way to actually remove that track. Okay, so I loaded some extra tracks here, and I'm going to go ahead and just remove them. And the way to do that is to tap at the very bottom where the labels are. And this is also the same place where you can label a track. You can go in here and simply just change the name of that track. But what I actually want to do is remove it. Okay. You can also see there's an option to duplicate it. I'm going to go ahead and remove it and tap to confirm. Okay, I'll do it again here. Remove, tap to confirm. Yes. And let's also do the same thing here. We're going to remove that and tap to confirm it. Now, there's also a way to move tracks. What you're going to do is tap on the three dots at the bottom of the track and slide up. This puts it in edit mode where you can actually slide this over and put it where you want it to go. That's a beautiful thing. All right, so here we have our track set up. We have our reverb bus on the right-hand side. And you can add other buses like delays and things like that. You can stack up on your effects and really create a powerful performance patch. Now, there are some AUM users that would only use this for recording or for tracking, right? So why don't we give that a try? So let's go ahead and record a short performance. All of my keyboards are routed to these plugins in the unique ways. And let's go ahead and record this and see what we get after we've recorded it. So at the top corner, there is a metronome. And I'm just going to tap in a tempo. I think 75 is good. We can go ahead and turn that metronome on. Good. It's green. It's lit. Very good. Now you also have some metronome settings here as to what it can sound like. You can set it for the pre-roll, or you can set it for the duration of your recording segment. However you want to do it, you have the options there to do it. So let's go down to the bottom of each track and let's arm them, okay, including the bus, okay? Okay, so that's my performance. That's my live performance. Now I should be able to export this out from AUM and put it into any one of my DAWs. Or if I wanted to stay in AUM and load those audio tracks back into a playback track and then work on it from there, you can do that as well. So AUM is a powerful tool to get you to put your ideas down, load up your sounds, customize them the way you want. So you can use it to record or you can use it to perform. So what do you guys think? I want to hear your comments. You've seen the setup, you've seen how many controllers I can route through this. You can see how I hooked it up to my digital mixer, having access to all of the inputs and outputs, and how I can even use my setup to attach an external monitor. I'd love to see what you guys come up with. Let me know what you think about AUM and tracking this way or performing this way. There's some powerful things you can do here with this program. I hope you guys have fun with it. If this is adding value to what you do as a musician, as a creator, go ahead and leave me a like and a subscribe. I'd love to stay in touch with you. Let's do this as a community. Look forward to the next video, y'all. Take care.